August 21st, 2023, 6:30 p.m. Palmyra Town Hall. Certification of compliance with open meetings law.
It was posted on the website and at the town hall board.
Roll call.
Sauter,
Here.
Martins,
Here.
Gajewski,
Here.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment. Instead of sheet out. Nothing. Old business. Number 1, discussion and possible action on what has been paid by the town and the airport commission to the village pertaining to the rezone of the airport and stormwater professional services. I'm going to turn this over to Josh and Rob because I'm on the airport commission. Either one of you? Go ahead.
We got an email from Dave Hefkin today, just before noon. The email says the Airport Commission met Sunday the 20th, 2023 in closed session to discuss the following. The Airport Commission would like the new Town of Palmyra Board to acknowledge the following. Number 1, all attorney bills that are associated with the stormwater management were approved by the former town board. Number 2, the airport has already paid the following towards the rezone of the town land at the airport, plus countless hours of volunteer time for paperwork and town and village meetings. Sub A, invoice 2177, in the amount of $911.25. Invoice 2194 in the amount of $1,697.13 for a total of $2,608.38. It's our opinion, along with our attorney, that the rezone expenses are to be paid by the town board, by the town for town land. The Airport Commission would like to offer the following. Sub 1, a payment of $3,500 to be paid to the town clerk and be made available within 7 days. And number 2, $2,608.38 be applied to the balance paid. In summary, this brings a total of $6,108.38 paid by the town, by the Palmyra Airport on behalf of the attorney bills and already paid rezoning costs. Thanks, Dave.
I've got a question on this. There, it's like, can you enlarge that so that they can see this? Those things off to the left. You got all those things off to the left. Anyway, my question is in the second paragraph, 1 and 2, is 2 just referencing, and you may not know the answer to this because you didn't write it, but number 2, is that just referencing the prior 2,600 because it's the exact same figure and it's an additional payment of 3,500, or they're going to make a payment of 3,500, so an additional $908.38, whatever that is.
So from my understanding of what has been paid, so we got kind of 2 different agenda items or 2 different topics. One is the attorney fees with Larson's office. And number 2 is all the professional service related self-invoice to the village. So the airport did pay $911.25 and $1697.13. And my interpretation is that to reach that $6108.38 is they're going to pay an additional $3,500 of what is left outstanding.
So that's my point. Point number sub 2 is just a restating of the above 2608.38. They're offering $3,500 additional dollars to us to call it all a done deal.
New money.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my interpretation.
Because you could read it the other way too.
Yeah. That would only be 900.
What do we feel so what do we believe the open balance is today?
So we've got $8,675.88 as of June. There are July invoices, which was another. It's not in here.
Well, have we, let me restate the question differently. So obviously, if there's more, that's gonna be on the 86. Right now, as of the end of June, there's almost $8,700 balance.
Correct.
So if we accepted 3,500, we'd be paying a little over 5,000 plus any new invoices. Okay, have we determined to itemize that 8,600 on, so we believe that we owe 5874 of that. And the airport 2801, correct?
That was the way that I
Okay.
went through it.
Right.
Yep.
And of the new invoices, have we gone through those and determined which of them are ours and how much, and which are the airports?
So those were split between two items. One was the stormwater review, and the other was the rezone. I'm just trying to find.
That was for the $646.25.
There you go. It was like 240 something and 3 and some change.
Yeah, that's on the sheet with the green.
And the prior board agreed to cover all the stormwater management invoices?
You'd have to ask the price
Well, the
board.
stormwater gets put off onto the hangar renters, owners, whatever. No?
No.
Well, we can't ask the prior board, but you were on it, board. Do you?
I don't know specifics about each of the, like the stormwater or the rezone. Off the top of my head, I'd have to go back to the minutes and see if there's something
That's what
there.
we'll need to do.
Yep.
Because I don't want to accept anything in this email until we figure out exactly, because the first bullet point is all attorney bills associated with stormwater management were approved by the fire. We should confirm that first. And do we know, so we've got some bills outstanding from July and August. Is that going to be the end of it, or are there potentially more?
As far as, well, okay, so as of today, my understanding is that the project, from the village's perspective of approval, has been reviewed and approved. Whether there's changes to the scope of the project that would require a re-review, I don't know, any of us would know the answer to that. But my interpretation is that before that project went out to bid, it was approved by the village. And it is in that process, as I've been made aware.
But I also don't really read anything in here unless you guys do it on this end, that says that they're making this offer as their final payment on either of these issues. It doesn't say that. Right? So if we had other bills come out, we could still have discussions with them on responsibility.
Potentially, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I did, for the 90 seconds of the meeting on Sunday morning, I did go to it and sat in my car and then came back in and they made a motion to send, I'm assuming, some version of this email to the airport's attorney, so I don't know what the context of their conversation was because it was in closed session. That I can't help with.
Is that, not that that has anything to do with this, I guess, but was that a verified closed session topic?
What do you mean verified?
Well, you can't go to closed session for everything. There's limitations on what you're going to closed sessions on.
Well, I can tell you this, as far as that goes, I've talked to the WTA twice today, 2 different attorneys, and they felt what happened yesterday was probably not something that should have happened. Okay, that's all I know. That's what they told me today. I will tell you that I did tell Mr. Hefner, ask Mr. Hefner to do this jointly, so we can just get it out of the way here, the 2 boards. And he chose not to. He doesn't like to do joint meetings. That's exactly what he told me. I thought we could hash the whole thing out tonight and get it over with. But it's going to continue. It sounds like we'll go back and forth, and I apologize to the constituents for that.
So, to discuss your question, I guess, as far as the stormwater project and which goes where, I don't believe that any of this project cost per se is directly relatable to the hangar owners, meaning the construction and review. One of my curiosities is from the overall project cost, and this is a question that I still have to pose, the overall project cost had an estimate, right? And the airport was awarded X amount of funding. Some of that inherently was engineering, because we haven't seen any bills whatsoever from Strand and Associates, who's the firm that's designing this for the airport. One of my questions is at the end of this, if the town as owner, sponsor, so to speak, of the project, can get some of these costs recouped and included in the project costs as well. Because we have zero control over what Strand designed, we have zero control over what the village's engineers and attorneys charge back as part of that review process. So from the other side of the table, from an operational standpoint, these are soft costs included with the design of the stormwater facility. I don't know the answer, I haven't even asked the question, but one of my questions is ultimately whether we can look at whoever pays whatever side of whatever dollar amount here can get funded or included in the funding of that project. It doesn't solve any of the questions on the table tonight, but from a brainstorming perspective of the future.
And I know we have to get, in some way, shape, or form between the two groups, we need to get this paid. Okay?
Sooner
But
than later.
there's still a lot of open questions.
I agree.
That I would like to table until we can get them to sit down with us. Unless we want to go ahead and pay the bills, and then we work with the airport commission to figure it out. That's an option too. Not one I'd like to go.
Excuse me, Laura, what are the total bills of it? 8,600?
Right, that was on the one sheet in there.
8675?
Through June, but.
So there's another 648, 640, 625 added on top of that. So we're at 90.
And that's for,
94.
and that billing charges for,
That was issued July 7th, so it would have been through June.
and it's service or rent for what?
It's on your sheet with the green.
The little green box. 247.50 was related to
Credit application.
the stormwater, and 398.75 was related to the rezone.
Well, the rezone, we would owe the 398, right?
Correct. Yeah. I don't think that's, well, at least it hasn't been brought up as a question of who's paying the rezone.
Right.
It comes down more to the stormwater piece and you know, from the question of did they approve it? I've looked back as much as I can, and I didn't find it specifically noted. At the same point, whether it was included in a board packet as part of what the board was reviewing, and they approved the project knowing that one of the little layers of that was funding, I don't know the answer to that, because we don't do our packets online either.
We need to find out.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Well, the comment I'll make is that we need to pay something on this. You know, we don't want to look bad to the, whoever these different places.
If we do know which of these are ours, then let's pay those. If you want to make sure we pay something, then let's determine which ones are absolutely ours and pay those.
Well, anything that says rezone would be us, correct? Josh?
It's ultimately everybody's decision, but I think that's kind of where we've been directed, yes.
Yeah, that's what the attorney said. The rezone's us. So you're adding it up?
Trying. Okay, if you take the rezone title items, 6,000, we're gonna write this down, 6,400 $73.13.
Still,
To date, yes, we've paid 200 of that.
And then their share on this other stuff is, if you add that up,
$5,457.38, of which they have paid 711, 25, 60, 70. So it's $3,049 would be their part.
and they're saying that they'll give us a check for $3,500.
Correct. So this email also covers this summary, which is the increase, which is the next item on the agenda. So if you parlay that into that discussion, if they're going to give us $3,500, and on this sheet, and again, this was just me going through 50/50 for all the red texted items on this list, would be $1,968.75. So we're talking about a difference of $1,517.75 between what these spreadsheets say and what they're willing to pay.
so the
That's really what it
so
comes down to.
1517 is
Our delta at some point. Either we
what they're
decide,
giving us back to this 2,283 that we overpaid. Not, overpaid's not our word.
yeah,
We paid, but we paid 32
net credit
28.
back,
net credit back, so we're still $600, $700.
well, it's 1517.75. So
Right.
what they've paid plus the additional 3,500 minus what's itemized the way that it's itemized would mean that we are discussing whether or not to fund or discuss $1,517.75.
Plus the 2283, right? It
That's
says the town had a total
okay.
945 and we paid 3228, which means we've,
Correct. I know where you're-
negative, I wasn't gonna say okay, but negative 2283.
right.
So,
Which
where does that get
realistically,
recovered?
it would have come off of, if, on this other spreadsheet, one of the professional services that we haven't paid anything, would come off the top of that. I had it broken down differently as far as like subtotals versus.
It'd be nice to have both these on the same spreadsheet where we come out with one bottom line number.
So, really, we're talking now about both items 1 and 2 here.
As far as what the value between the two are.
And it comes down to $1,500.
A little more than, yep.
Well, I still say there's a matter of us overpaying up here. The subtotal for these says we should pay 945, and we've already paid 3228, which means we paid 2,283 more than what our share was.
2,
So that spreadsheet comes out to a net zero, essentially, the way that I put that together. Between what we've paid and wouldn't, quote unquote, had to pay, and then what the difference of what's still, because all of these bills have all been paid to date.
Can you show me the math that it's net zero? That's not what this says.
Between this guy and this one. I think,
This says,
now I'm confusing myself.
it says the balance due in
56.
So we paid 6,074, they paid 52, subtotal to 6,052. Do these include this?
No.
No.
This is
Right, so, but you just said, if you
You're right,
put this
you're
all
right, you're
together,
right, you're right.
so I think we've got a number there that we can't, I can't see where it's been recouped.
Okay, how would we make this right? We need to make a $6,200 payment is our obligation to rezone, correct?
If you take this 5874, that
Plus
looks like is
another-
ours, plus the whatever we added to it, that looks like it comes up to that. Well, I think we need is a spreadsheet, put one spreadsheet, have all of these bills put up in one column, or 2 columns, 3 columns, and the attorney fees in another column. And you can subtotal them and lay them over each other, see what the bottom line is. Separately, it's very confusing. I just don't want to, I want to make sure we don't get stuck having to pay $2,300 and not get it back somewhere in the account.
But where's the overpayment been sent? That's what I'm confused with. Who got the 20?
So there, all of the attorney fees to date have been paid by the town. Period. Those invoices are closed at this point. So $3,228.75 in this middle did pay column here at the back of the sheet is what we have paid.
And they've paid nothing.
They have paid none. So in the breakout of doing this.
I mean, I could see the 3,500 payment being offered up against the zoning,
Sure.
and it being a little bit over the 2,801 that, you know, for potential future bills, but that leaves this 2,200, 2,300.
Let me find the actual initial plan. This is not a property. Oh, Laura, can you just tab over to page 26?
And Frank, have you approved Dave continuing to call the lawyer? Because we had set that up to everybody.
If he's calling the lawyer, he's supposed to be calling their lawyer. And there's no charge to the town.
We use the same lawyer.
No, there's another lawyer in the firm. What's his name?
Zach.
Zach is their lawyer. Al is our lawyer.
It's still the same firm, which is an issue, separate issue.
Can you just tap on that side, Laura?
I did. I don't know why it's not coming up with something. Because you're thinking there's a formula there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not showing.
Have you highlighted it yet, or just laid the cursor over it?
I'm clicking on it, so it should pop up with it. It's not showing up in the functions. So,
Is there one on the -2283? Nothing there either?
no. I'm not sure what it is. There's an accessibility investigate note down below in the lower left-hand corner, so I'm not sure what that means.
That means you don't have any internet, I don't think.
I don't know.
And we worked to get all this on one spreadsheet. Let me ask you, Frank, let me ask you another question. The ones that are in red, I believe are, Jackson, the ones that are ours,
are the ones that I broke out 50/50.
Have we gotten the town to agree to this list? Which ones are theirs and which ones are ours, or is this still just our estimate?
It's just ours.
I don't know how we can make a final decision if we're not sitting right with them.
Well, I agree with that statement, but they won't do it.
They report up through us, don't they?
Say that again.
They report up through us, don't they?
I believe they're supposed to, but
Can we tell them, are we able to tell the village to send in the ones we think are theirs to reissue the invoices directly to the airport commissioner? As opposed to send them to us?
Laura?
That's up to you guys.
The only problem is going to be is that the town was the applicant. It wasn't, I don't believe it was the airport commission. So they're,
This is so messed up.
you know,
Well, what would you two gentlemen like to see next? A different spreadsheet or what?
Well, we definitely need the one spreadsheet where it summarizes everything. But then I think we need to get the board, the commission to come sit down with this board. And if they refuse, then we make decisions. They've had the opportunity to join us. If they don't show up, we make decisions, and whatever we make, we make. Assuming that's legal, of course.
Thoughts on that, Josh?
sorry, I'm still trying to get this stupid formula. But I think we're in a fair day cage when we do business here, so we're just signal. The conversation of having a joint meeting, I think, behooves everybody, but ultimately, whether they say no, I mean,
Okay, you'd like to see a different spreadsheet, combining both, correct? A little easier to read, correct?
Well, easier to get us to the bottom line.
Okay, that makes sense. Josh, what's your thinking on that?
That's fine.
Meanwhile, extend our hand again, possibly to the, not possibly, to the airport commission for a joint meeting, joint.
I recommend, you're the chairman, you guys can vote on this if we need to. I say we don't give them an option. At this point, as many meetings as they refuse to have, we set a meeting out there, we invite them. We might want to check with WTA or something, to see if we can do that. But then, we can't keep dragging this out. I mean, at the end of the day, we're responsible to our constituents, to the town of Palmyra residents. And if they keep kicking the can down the road to where, we're not paying bills and things like that, that's a problem.
I agree. Well, I don't think we can make them sit down.
But I
think-
think
I think what we should do,
no, but we can let them know we're having a meeting to discuss this. And if we want them at the meeting, and, we will vote on things and discuss things with who's present at the meeting.
correct, but for them to do that, for us to do that, they're going to have a quorum of their commission to make a legal decision.
Frank, we gotta do something.
Well, one more time, I'll tell them Laura, I'll call him tomorrow, let them know what's going on, that we have to have a joint meeting. And I'll see what he says again. I certainly can't promise anything, because he does not like to have joint meetings. He's told me that quite a lot, folks.
Of course he does.
And I'll try it one more time. Meanwhile, you're going to work on an easier to read spreadsheet, I think, is what they're looking for. Does that make sense so far, gentlemen? But one thing I'm not going to acknowledge on this form here is it says, I'm not going to. Number one, again, all of the attorney bills that are associated with the storm water management were approved by the former town board. I'm not going to
No, we need to
acknowledge
verify
that.
that.
You agree with that?
Yeah, we need to verify that. So, suggested.
That probably ends the discussion on really.
I don't think we take any action on this at this point. I think we table it to the next special board meeting or next regular board meeting for us.
Is there
So is that, if we want to table it, then we should make a motion to table it. Otherwise, it kind of dies on this agenda.
What? If we don't table it, it dies. What does that mean? We're just never going to consider it again, or? I'm not being smart.
No, yeah, I mean, if an item on the agenda is not acted upon either proactively or negatively, or to move it along, then it dies there. We don't have any policies as far as if Frank is the only person that sets the agenda or X, Y, or Z, so it likely could be put back up.
Well, we need a motion.
But sorry, I had a half a second brainstorm there. If the minutes of the meeting are written that it's continued until X, then anybody who reads the minutes knows when it's going to come back up, rather than kind of off the cuff.
I make a motion to continue this subject to either the next board meeting or a special board meeting between the airport commission and the town board, whichever comes first.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? None? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? New business.
Well, you're doing both in one?
Let's motion to table this item until either the next town board meeting or the next available joint meeting with the airport commission, whichever comes first.
That would be items number 1 and 2, correct?
No, that would be
Just
item
two.
2.
Just two.
Item 2.
Okay, item 2.
Well, you had a motion. I need a second.
Second, sorry.
Okay. Now you vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? New business. Discussion and possible action on the lease equipment, including the Bobcat to the airport.
What exactly are we? I mean, last meeting we went through and read the lease agreement. Clause 5 clearly states that we have the ability to use that equipment in emergencies as determined by the town board. To me, there was a non-agenda offer made that I don't think we should even address, and we should stick to the lease. But we do need to find a way to get keys for the 3 of us in case of an emergency, and people trained on the equipment.
I agree 100%. Getting them to do that might be an issue.
This is a legal document.
I agree. The roads are maintained, there's somebody seems to have thrown out there that we don't own the roads. Well, things have changed in the last 100 years. We are responsible for the roads. We have to maintain the roads for the public. Therefore, if we have a snowplow truck sitting here that is the town's, we can go out and clean up, just kind of joking, but Northwest Services around Blue Spring Lake if we have that truck. The Bobcat, it says right in the lease, can be used for the removal of debris from any town owned property, which or maintained. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that what you read in that, Josh?
That's exactly what it says.
Yeah, it says shall be made available at any time for debris management in the event of a natural disaster or emergency.
So removing trees from a roadway, because that's all that I could possibly think, or brush or something, that the thing would be used for would be,
Well, let's not make that statement because we don't know exactly what type of emergencies could come up.
well, okay, so, right off the top, man, I give this. But anyway, we can use it for debris removal from the road.
But
They have to insure us under what, section is that 7? They have to provide insurance
Yes.
for us.
So let's say,
So the next step is for us to get access to the Bobcat and be able to use it in case something happens. Nobody sitting at this table wants to jump on the Bobcat, drive around the airport for fun, okay? But in the event of some of the stuff that has recently happened, it would be available, right?
But I think you need to address that one line that's in section 8 where you have to reach out to the Wisconsin Council Association about owning the roads. So if their information they provided is not, if you don't agree with it, I think we need to reach out to Al. Because it says the towns only own the actual roadway if the road was deeded to the town or dedicated to the town as part of a subdivision, plat, or CSM, etc.
so
In most cases, if the road was just laid out by highway order or became a highway but use, the town only has an easement for the highway purposes and does not own the underlying road.
So I don't understand the point there. The road doesn't have trees on it. We obviously have to use the road to get the equipment there.
Right, but you're,
Hang on. The trees are on somebody's property, whether they're in the easement or on somebody's property in the town. Therefore, that is part of the town, okay? If the tree falls across the road, that doesn't mean that the road owns that tree. We still have to clear it out.
it says that it has to be, and the reason I'm pushing on this is I was asked to find out, and if I'm going to do the work to find out this information, it has to become part of the record, and if you don't
Sure.
agree with it, then we need to do some more research. The question was, if section 8, the last line, said it has to be restricted to purposes on town-owned property, and the Wisconsin Towns Association is basically telling you you don't own the road, then I think we need to go to the lawyer, Al, or someone, to see, because they're just giving you their opinion, they're not giving you legal advice.
May I ask you, who asked you to look that up?
We talked about it. You and I haven't known.
I didn't ask you to look up number 8.
No, I told you guys, I read after Rob brought the lease and read it in the town board meeting, I said I looked over it to see what the basis the airport could have to say that you were not allowed to take it off of the airport. And I said the only thing I thought that they would have was that line in the lease.
Well, I think we need to also, I don't remember that in the last meeting unless the conversation was sometime else, but I think the
I
question,
sent an email to you guys.
did you include the copy of the lease with this for them to review the lease?
No, because I called them,
We need to do that. And it says current town board, your question was current town board wanted to take that Bobcat off the airport grounds to use for cleanup after a recent storm.
Right.
Now, I think we need to include a copy of the lease and change cleanup after recent storm to reference the emergency situation. But, you know, maybe it's semantics, but the lease talks about emergency situations, not just cleanup.
right,
So-
but either way, whether it's an emergency or just cleanup, the reason I pointed it out, and I sent you guys an email on this, saying specifically that my feeling was the airport was going to use that as the basis for why they wouldn't want you to take it off the airport. So when I talked to Frank about it, he said, why don't you talk to the WTA and find out what their opinion is on roads? And their opinion is you don't own the road, so it's not a town-owned property. You have to use the road to get there,
So,
but,
let me intervene, because I see this going sideways in a hurry. I completely agree with Rob that this, if we're going to get any sort of opinion, whether it's from WTA, obviously Alan has a copy of this, or any other law firm, that the entirety of this agreement be sent to them, because the context of subsection 8 is regarding the leasee, it is not regarding the leaseor. It's the equipment shall remain at all times property of the leaseor. The leasee shall have no right or title or interest therein, except as expressly written for in this lease. The equipment shall, blah, 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 blah. And it says it cannot be used for personal use and under no circumstances taken off the town property. This is not, this is not a prescription for the leaseor in my mind. We have differing opinions, and that's fine. I'm not an attorney, and neither are you. So at the end of the day, the prescription of that subsection to me is important because it's a prescription to the leasee and not the leaseor, which would mean that the airport commission has no right to take it off this property, which to me makes potential sense. If there is an argument, that's fine. At the end of the day, the lease of the equipment, you know, is the lease of the equipment, and the technicalities or the intent, I think, would be advantageous to get as a whole rather than as a theoretical question to someone.
When I called them on Friday after I talked to Frank, they were all going up to a conference over the weekend. So they did not have the ability to take any,
No, I'm not,
right.
I'm just
So
saying
they were
that-
working off of what Frank and I had talked about and what I was able to provide over the phone.
Right.
The secretary took the information, they relayed it to whoever was going to respond, which I believe was Carol Nowicki was her name. So I can certainly send them the lease, but again, they're not giving you legal advice, they're just giving you their
Right, which
opinion.
goes to what I'm about to say, is that send it to them, but I think this is an instance, Frank, where we have to get Al to give us a legal opinion. And I know we don't want to spend money on lawyer fees, but to me, we're in this situation because the airport commission is not cooperating. Therefore, when we contact Al, whatever bill this is, we should charge to them for this legal advice, because they're the ones putting us in this situation. And I'm getting extremely frustrated with the fact that the airport is in the town, and we have a commission that is thinking about themselves and not the constituents of the town we reside in. And the board that serves. I'm
Thank
very
you.
frustrated with that.
Well, I agree, send it to Al for his interpretation of this, but having Josh read that back, yeah, leasee shall have no right.
That's correct.
I
Black and white.
I did not pick up on that, folks. Leasee, leaseor. Thank you very much, Josh.
And let me, sorry, thank you, let me clarify something. Despite my frustration, I still view that airport as a tremendous asset to this town. The airport is still something we need to value. It's not the airport we're talking about here, it's the leadership at the airport commission that we're talking about. I just want to make sure I added that for clarity.
You raised the point earlier, the town does not, the airport does not control the town. It's the other way around.
Should be, yes.
It's black and white.
I would make a motion that we send the equipment lease agreement to Al Larson's office specifically regarding clarification on subsection 8 and whether it is designed to permit or restrict the use of the equipment by the leasee or the leaseor, and to have him issue a legal opinion, meaning findings of fact and an opinion on that, so that we can review it.
The motion's been made. I'm gonna have a hard time repeating it. This is forwarded to our attorney, Al Larson, specifically to look at section 8 of the lease agreement to see what restrictions there are for the leaseor, leasee, and get his legal opinion. Is there a second?
I second it.
Any further discussion?
I have one point to make, and I've said a lot already about this. I just want to say one more thing. I would like the airport commission, I'm not making a formal request, but it'd be nice to have the airport commission, when they are paying $20 for this lease over 20 years, $1 a year, why they're not willing to let the constituents of this town use this equipment in a state of emergency.
That's a good question.
And that's one reason I want to join meetings, I want to ask them that question. So, my discussion's over.
There's been a first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.